this is the Nature Boy Ric Flair, and believe it or not, whether you like it or don't like it, learn to love it, because you have to listen to Wrestling is Real. It is the best thing going today. Woo!
The worldwide leader of podcasting excellence, the king of podcasts radio network proudly presents The Wrestling is Real podcast, because wrestling needs us.
Welcome to episode 800 of the Wrestling is Real podcast. This is King of Podcaster with you once again. Thank you for always catching the shows you always do at kingofpodcasts.com. Might have been another site before, but it's now kingofpodcasts.com. All of my programming, including this program, is all listed right there. So 800 episodes. Funny, I was actually just go ahead and talking on Instagram to Iceman23, one of the very first P1 listeners of the program. Shout out to you, my friend. He's doing really good on the gaming stuff. So if you want to go ahead and catch him on that, I should go ahead and give him a shout out on that part. So he has a YouTube channel and he's doing pretty good on it. Put it like that. So if you want to go ahead and catch him, I'll go ahead and shout this out while I have a chance. He's also on Twitch. So Twitch, he's at Warrior Empire 84. Warrior Empire 84. And he's also on YouTube. You can go ahead and find him there as well. And you can also find him under Warrior Empire on YouTube. So that's Iceman23, gamer extraordinaire. Go ahead and shout out to them over there and say what's up. So in the meantime, I'm looking at what WWE is right now doing, trying to go ahead and put together what is their post-SummerSlam plan leading up to Survivor Series. Right now, the audience, the listeners, the fans that are in the wrestling bubble, the sports entertainment bubble, let's just really call it as it is. I need to quit just stopping to just say it, okay? Fans, all you fans that are ultimately, predominantly WWE fans, you are into sports entertainment. You can say that you like wrestling, pro wrestling at all. If you did like pro wrestling, you would watch AEW and you wouldn't complain about it. But the thing is that it didn't matter to you. You didn't care. You saw AEW as a threat, as fans, and you see, oh, this is the Monday Night Wars all over again. Well, we already went through this before. WWE is deciding to perpetuate the same situation again by saying, well, let's just go ahead and go back to this again one more time. And let's just go back into the same bullshit that we always do when there's a chance to go and do so. So here's what's going on. We know that Tuesday night Dynamite's coming up, Title Tuesday. Major League Baseball playoffs are going on. So the division series is going to be playing doubleheader next Wednesday. And so instead of playing on Wednesday, it's like what they did with TNT when they used to have the Dynamite shows have to go to the playoffs. Let's go ahead and move them over to Tuesday night. So they planned it. It was already there on the schedule. And all of a sudden, just decided, okay, well, we're going to go ahead and NXT, for whatever reason, have been adding some stars from the main roster over and letting them do things on the main roster. So Becky Lynch is the NXT champion. Dominic Mysterio is again NXT North American champion on a short run after No Mercy takes the belt off of Carmelo Hayes. So let me ask you something. How good is Tiffany Stratton, Carmelo Hayes, or Trick Williams as a result of all this? And right now we're going to get Braun Breaker, Carmelo Hayes in a match and a rematch. And you're going to have John Cena and Paul Heyman on different corners. What are we doing here? Why is NXT the reason we're going to go ahead and try to build a number against AEW over one night? To prove that you're the more dominant brand? And is it because of the fact that Edge is going to have this first match against Luchasaurus that night? Is it really that petty? Are we really at the point where we have to go and have the WWE can't worry about Raw, can't worry about Fastlane? No, let's go ahead and get the buzz for next week on NXT. Of all places. Sure, listen, they've been able to get and pull 850,000 viewers. Great. Over the 600,000 it would normally get, the baseline. And you're bringing all the main roster stars over there on Tuesday nights to try to pop a rating. SmackDown's been not much of a difference, not much of an issue. Like, you're kind of creating a pseudo Bloodline thing with Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa over there, right? And then on SmackDown, you're also going to bring stars over. What? So we got that also going for us. But for what? Why are we doing all that? And then there's also the talk about what's going on with Jade Cargill. And the plan is she's going to go into the main roster. WWE is showing some weakness. And you can tell me I'm wrong. You can go ahead and tell me that I'm completely off base on this. I mean, we're doing this show, again, 800 episodes, okay? 11 years coming up in December. I've been around doing this. I've been watching this program. I don't like what they're doing right now. This is Autopilot. This is the off season. What they're doing right now is trying to go ahead and build up, using John Cena as much as they can because he's being offered. Cody, let's put him on both brands. Let's get the Usos on both brands. Let's get everything just kind of mixing up. Judgment Day, you're already doing a little bit of that anyway. But now you're just doing it more just to go and pop a rating. For what? I mean, for SmackDown, it's to lead up to Fastlane to build that up. Okay, you're giving a justification for it. But then it's like, are we trying to pop a rating for Fox? We're not in November sweeps yet. I don't know. Maybe it's a season premiere. I don't know what it is. But it could be the season premiere. I wouldn't doubt that part. We're into the final year of SmackDown on Fox. And WWE is doing some really drastic measures. And it doesn't make sense to me why. But they want to go this route. They feel like they need to go and do some things like this just to really build up interest. And I don't know what that's all for. Obviously, some people have been really big about what's going on with what has changed with Adam Copeland now making an appearance at AEW Wrestle Dream on Sunday and now making his appearance and confronting Christian Cage on Dynamite tonight. So the storyline between Edge and Christian, right? Adam Copeland and Christian Cage, we're getting to that now. And they're going to really do something fun with that. And let me tell you, the feedback I've seen from some fans that are kind of the hybrid crossovers, they're enjoying this. But WWE fans are going to just say, they already started now. Adam Copeland, he's old. If he's not Edge, he's old. He's out of it. He's done. He's tired. He's past. No. It's always one way or the other. And this is this divisive, this tribal mentality that I don't get. Like, this is the shit that politics has. Because I don't like politics. It's like a bad fucking soap opera, okay? So why are we doing that here? Why does it always have to be wrestling too? I made the analogy of the Yankees and how they've gone bad again, and the Cowboys the same way. So when your favorite team's not doing well, listen, they're not going to do well 12 months of the year. Okay? WWE dominated. They were on a hot run with the Bloodline storyline. Judgment Day. They're going to do something with Street Profits, or the new faction of Street Profits, Bobby Lashley. Maybe Jake Cargill is going to go over there. Maybe. So they're doing all this, and that's all good. But it's not to encompass the rest of the roster. That's not doing a whole lot. And the same thing going for the stars they have in NXT that are hoping to bring on the come up that are not going to do much more after that. I mean, when you look at what the NXT results we're looking at this week, okay? Yeah, you had the confrontation with Ilya Dragunov, which they let him be champion, fine. But it's still, the guy is not, I mean, you're going to put him out there in the main roster. He's going to look small. I don't care how strong and how agile he is. Listen, he's good, but you're trying to make the WWE audience believe in Ilya Dragunov when he goes to that main roster. Are you going to believe in him in that size and stature that he's going to be such a dominant champion on that main roster? He's going to be a main eventer going up against Seth Rollins, Cody Rhodes. Do you really believe that? You think he's going to go against Roman Reigns? He's going to have a shot? Do any of these people think, let me ask you this. If anybody in NXT right now that you see, who is there that you can say, okay, go up against Roman Reigns? Okay, go up against Seth Rollins, the title holders. Which ones are how about Gunther, an IC champion? Which of those stars you have right now in NXT that could be seriously positioned and credible opponents for those dream title holders? Give me an answer. Don't give me Austin Theory. You could probably make an argument for all of them. But let's talk right now about Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Gunther. They've all held titles for a long time. So you're also going to have to go and get them to lose their titles, okay? So Tommaso Ciampa goes up against Gunther. It's a one-off. Don't tell me it's going to be where Tommaso Ciampa has a chance. No. Nice promo, Tommaso. Thank you. You've always had that in you. Okay, and you did it different than you did when you held Goldie in NXT, but this is also like the wet dream of the NXT Black and White 2019 crowd that wanted to see Tommaso Ciampa get his chance in the sun. Fine. You're getting that now. And sure, it's not for me to go ahead and say that they can't do it, that they're not capable, that they're not able to go ahead and become champions. But I continue to go ahead and say that there is this glass ceiling right now within the company. And how long somebody needs to be in the company before they can be even considered to be at that highest level, before they've been invested so much time and capital and resources and storylines and gimmicks before they finally allow a star to become a star. Because remember, it's not everyone gets the John Cena push. And you got to think about so many others that they're not going to get the Attitude Era push where within a couple of years, somebody's going to become a star. The pushes to get somebody to the moon and become a main eventer, that doesn't happen much anymore. Like right now, the best you're going to see right now is maybe like what? Austin Theory. And you have to understand that some of the other stars, I honestly, truly believe they're going to have a stopping point. They're going to have a ceiling themselves. Gunther has a ceiling. You don't want to hear that. You don't want me to say that. You wish it was not true. But it is. I think that's what the company feels like. They don't see him putting himself to the point, and that's not against anything against Gunther. He's done himself the work as cutting promos as best as he could, but his in-ring work always overshadows his promos. Remember that. Your promos have to overshadow your work rate. You can't just have a great work rate and then just, have promos that are just going to be substandard or going to be just like good enough. That's good for every other company. In WWE, it's not allowed. It's not acceptable. They might not say that. But the best that Gunther might get is be able to get into the title picture, but also just be on the outside looking in, but he's not winning. I don't see him being built up to go up against Roman Reigns. And right now, I don't know how much Triple H has of the book right now in terms of what they're doing, because you can tell. The way things are booked right now are much different. It's not the same as it was. But it's because what's happening now is we are in the middle of a full-fledged autopilot across the board. Not even a question to that. So we have Fastlane coming up this weekend. And listen, they got a card set together and they put matches together, but have they really gotten a whole lot of real strong build? Let's look at it. So you've already got the whole card set up. LWO, that's going to take on Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits. That's going to be just set up as a 6-man tag. Then you got Judgment Day against Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso, undisputed the WWE Tag Team titles. Io Sky defending the women's title against Asuka and Charlotte Flair. World Heavyweight title, last man standing match, Seth Rollins, Shinsuke Nakamura, and John Cena and LA Knight against the Bloodline, Solo Sikoa and Jimmy Uso. That's your setup. So with no Roman Reigns, let's get John Cena into the Bloodline stuff. They have to. Like John Cena as a stopgap right now, yes, you use him. You have to. It might feel kind of pushed and thwarted, but yeah, they have to do this. They have no choice. Because the company doesn't have Roman Reigns out there and they have nobody else on the roster. It's like in football and sports in general, football, basketball, whatever it is. You have your starters and then you have your bench. But WWE expects their bench to be main event all-stars. Okay, the bench is the mid-card. People that can go ahead, and sometimes there might be a few people that in the mid-card could be elevated up for just a minute and brought up into a main event feud. And for years going back, you can say that's like Mark Henry got a first spot, R-Truth got a first spot, Dolph Ziggler would get that spot, The Miz would get that spot. That's what they did. But we can't keep doing that now because all the stars they have up now, you have to hope that he gets somewhere up a little higher. Finn Balor gets into that spot where he gets to go up against Seth Rollins. But now they're tag team titles with Damian Priest. And Damian Priest, with the briefcase, has not stepped up to go ahead and cash in on Seth Rollins. That hasn't happened yet. The Usos are kind of like in this spot right now where they've kind of been given a little bit of stigma that they are main event because of their attachment to the Bloodline. But on their own, they lose a bit of that luster. Now, the crowd in Indianapolis is going to be pretty hot for it, no matter what, because that's where they are. But it's not hitting like it did. When Raw's really struggling to go ahead and pull any kind of rating now with Monday Night Football, they're not doing it. I mean, God forbid Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce are playing on Monday night. Raw will be decimated. I don't know how they'll do it. But they don't have much of an answer for it. John Cena, LA Knight, Bloodline, that's basically a SmackDown feud. Seth and Shinsuke, I'm sorry, Shinsuke's being brought up to the level because he's been around for a long time. So they got him here. Let's see if he can make, put him into a main event spot. It's the highest he's ever been at the level of the company. So having a chance to go after the World Heavyweight title, but he can't cut promos. The guy works like a mule, but he's great. But no. His only titles he's going to get was a New Japan or Ring of Honor. That's it. But he's not getting titles here. Because he's been positioned and stigmatized and put into a hole where he's just going to be this level of wrestler where they've used him goofy, they've used him in other things, however they need to use him. And now they've been bringing him up where he's now this ruthless assassin here up against Seth Rollins, but he's lost every match to him. And now Seth goes up here in this last man standing match. Okay, they'll have a good match. The best showing for Shinsuke that he'll ever get a chance, the best exposure for him to be in that main event of any time in his career in this company. But it will not match. It will pale in comparison to whatever he's done when he was in New Japan Pro Wrestling, when he was working Wrestle Kingdoms. His match with AJ Styles, his other matches, no. What he's done in WWE, listen, it's a paycheck. It's a big fat paycheck. And it's also being on the biggest brand there is. There's no doubt about that. Which takes me to my point of why WWE cannot help themselves. Is it to appease the fans? Does the fandom really just want to just see this happen where AEW, hey, they're getting on NXT. We need to bury them. Okay, well, what's going to happen? Yeah, NXT will win the night. Do you want a prediction, not a spoiler? NXT will win the night on Tuesday night. You're taking AEW off for one night. And yeah, maybe it'll be a little bit different because Adam Copeland's going to be on there. So maybe we're going to get a tight neck and neck race. But my guess, if I had to go put money down, NXT will win the night Tuesday night. So what are we doing this for? Why do you need to go ahead and pile up? Okay, it's one thing to go and create one of those pay-per-view style made events like Great American Bash or, whatever. You want to do that? Sure. You want to do a takeover style thing on a Tuesday night? Okay, then do that with the stars that you have. But no, you are downplaying, downsizing. You are, dismissing the ability that the stars you have in NXT, that you let them out there for 1 year, by the way. Okay, they've been in the Rainbow brand for what? A year, 2 years already? And now we have this thing where Carmelo Hayes has been out there. Trick Williams is now using Hustle and Flow. That's the other thing. Why everybody was all caught up in the fact that, oh, look, we're getting, we're getting Trick Williams coming out to, whoop that trick. Yes. He's using Terrence Howard's character, DJ, and using the song, basically, as part of the gimmick for Trick Williams to get him over. Does he really need it? Wouldn't he just do fine without? I don't know. But what do they think of Trick Williams in the company? You let him take the belt off of Dom. You had Trick Williams win. And Trick Williams, sure, with a lot of plunder, a lot of interference. Yeah, everybody, including Jay McDonough, got involved in the match. And so Trick Williams lost it. But still, you don't even give Trick Williams a chance to win. All it was, and by the way, NXT storylines are being used from Raw. Because remember, the Raw storyline was, Rhea said, you need to come back with that North American title. So the threat. And so Dominic wins with the interference. And Dominic's still champion. We're not building developmental stars here. We know it's not a developmental brand. Like, we thought it was going to be like that again, but again, they've let that go. Somewhere in the mix, they decided, no, we're not going to do that. Like, they were giving the random, oh, look, Baron Corbin's coming over, Apollo Crews is coming over. We're not doing that anymore. No. We need star power over there. And what we have over there on NXT doesn't cut it. No Dyad, no Gacy, no Briggs and Jensen, no Kiana James, no Tiffany Stratton, no JC Jane and Thea Hale. All right? None of that. None of that's working. No Blair Davenport. No Roxanne Perez. No Von Wagner. None of that. They just don't care. They're saying to the NXT audience, listen, we can't trust the viewers like you to help build the numbers with the NXT show to get it over AEW if it's going to go ahead and jump into our time slot on a Tuesday night. And I'm wondering, part of the thing is that we're Monday Night Raw, if it's going to be changing networks or whatever the deal is going to be, where Raw is going to be heading next year in 2025 or 2024, the end of 2024. I mean, the idea of building up something on Tuesday night and making it a really strong night for wrestling could tell me that Monday Night Raw will move to Tuesday nights in a new deal. And they could do that. Might be better off. I think Monday nights are not working for them. When you have 5 months of the year, they're not going to win. They're going to get decimated by Monday Night Football. More so than ever before. Because it used to be just network, but now it's cable. And now they're also doing it on multiple channels. To where ABC, ESPN can have different games on. Different separate games going on. Covering the entire time of the show. So there's nothing that they could do with like any 15, 20-minute run to keep people around. You're not even getting into that. So yeah, you want to go ahead and surrender Monday nights because you can't win? It's just not possible anymore. You could counter-program Monday Night Football, which is what they do with Love and Hip Hop and all these other shows, but wrestling's not going to compete against Monday Night Football. Just can't. It's been proven. And so anybody else is going to take that show, they're not going to be happy to see WWE struggling to get 1.3, 1.4 million viewers. Can't. Not acceptable. So we need to move along and say, okay, you're going to get a good pay-per-view this weekend? Absolutely. Not even the question there. But then what do you do, right? What do you do then about the TV shows? SmackDown's and Sunday on Friday nights. They're not even worried too much about anything else because there's really not much of college football or basketball or baseball or anything like that that's really going to go and put a major dent on what they're doing on Friday nights. So when it goes to USA, they're going to be fine. But what's Raw going to be? Will it be 2 hours? Will it be 3 hours? All those things have to be taken into account. But the star power. When you have to go and work with the bench and use the bench at your disposal to help take and build up pay-per-views, it's one thing to go to an arena in Indianapolis and say, okay, here we go, 18,000 people at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. Yeah, you're going to fill that up. Okay. But if you got to fill up a Wembley Stadium or you got to fill up a Saudi Arabia, well, they'll get their minions over there to go do that anyway, so that's not a problem. But what if you're going to do the Super Show in India or you're going to do stadium shows like you've done, go back to Vegas. Make sure WrestleMania Philadelphia is going to get booked solid. Because what's been happening is you're getting a lot of this star power that's getting embedded in, but it's the part-timers again. They're back to that issue. So John Cena is back in this. They bring The Rock out for a one-up, but you know what? The actor strike's going to end, so, oh no, Rock's going back to work. Goodbye. And now we are at the point where how many different things can we explain why WWE is doing this weakness card right now? Is it really Adam Copeland? I mean, is it, okay, Jade Cargill gets announced, she's coming over. And then Adam Copeland debuts on AEW Wrestle Dream. I mean, the buzz has been on AEW right now. It's like what they did with Bryan Danielson coming into Grand Slam. And Adam Cole going to Grand Slam a couple of years ago. Yeah, it worked. And now we're at the point where any of the thought that CM Punk and losing CM Punk as this part, okay, here we go. Well, CM Punk's out. And that was going to be a dent. Well, Adam Copeland has basically just filled that void. And now the WWE fans, the faithful, are like, let's get CM Punk over. Let's get him a Survivor Series. All this fantasy booking with all these stars, Jake Cargill, going to Street Profits and Bobby Lashley. Ooh. And then we're going to no. You are fantasy booking now. You're fantasy booking like madmen on Wrestle Talk, on Twitter, X. You fans, my fellow wrestling podcasters, you are all fantasy booking now because you're not satisfied with the main product. That's a problem. I don't even bring this up either, but you know what? I'm really just fed up with it. I can't just listen to other shows and hear this kind of stuff going on and say to myself, I can't get into that whole idea. Like, okay, things are going to get better. Well, this will happen and this will happen. I'll make things better. It's all part-time. It's all flash in the pan. It'll be good for like a one-off or a moment, but things will not sustain. We don't need, CM Punk coming back to go and do like a part-time shot. Or let's get Jake Cargill in, who can't work full matches on a regular basis in the level what the WWE wants. Okay, I heard the argument for some people. Oh no, Jake Cargill, she worked a good match against, Taya Valkyrie. Yeah. But remember, most of the matches we ever saw of her were on television. And what is that, 65, 70 matches? Over a couple of years. Yeah, that's pretty, that's at least she's out there and she's been doing it. Like her presence and all, but like to do the work that WWE was going to expect of her. Now they hear that she's going to the main roster. That's weakness too. So they're going to depend on Jade Cargill to go ahead and pull the strong, long matches on here. When at first I thought when I saw her getting interviewed, she's going to the Performance Center. She's going to get some time to go and just get more time in the ring and get her prepared to go to that main roster, fully capable of meeting the demands that WWE is going to expect. Their expectations are high. The fans' expectations are blown out of proportion because they can't help themselves. We got this AEW person. And now, I guarantee you, some of you never even watch her matches. And now you're going to go ahead and like make her the biggest thing. Oh, she's bigger than Mickie James, bigger than, Becky Lynch, bigger than Charlotte Flair. Oh my God. You probably don't even know who she is. But you probably got the same indication like I did when I first saw her team up with Shaquille O'Neal against Cody Rhodes and Red Velvet. She's a star. She's a star in the making. Now, this is nothing against Jade Cargill at all. I wish nothing but the best for her. I want her to succeed beyond, okay? I want the dream match of her against Bianca Belair. I want her up against Becky Lynch. I want her taking on the whole roster. But I also want her to be able to be ready to go ahead and take all of that on. She's only been a couple of years in the business. She's not Kurt Angle. Quickly adapt to everything. She's done great with what she's done. Like AEW did a very good job of accentuating the positive, hiding the negatives. The pros for her, just put her on camera. Let her talk. Let her go out there and show off. And show presence and strength. But the con is put her in a 20-minute match, or put her in a Hell in a Cell, or a Last Man Standing match, or a ladder match, or a Royal Rumble. I mean, she hasn't done those matches yet. She never got that far in the career to go and do that. She was still being positioned as like the main unstoppable, dominant force because she played the part great. That is what WWE needs to do with her. But I would prefer her to go ahead and take the developmental talent down in NXT, dominate all of them in quick fashion, become this unstoppable force, and then have her start teasing to go up to that main roster. Hell, NXT champion, confronting the stars on Raw and SmackDown or a pay-per-view. Yeah, that's where I would like to go with it. That's where I'd like to see her go, but they're not. They're choosing not to. So we're going to go this route. We're going to go ahead and see, coming up at SmackDown, John Cena will have his first televised match since WrestleMania 39. And before he goes on and tags in the Fastlane Premium Live event. So we're going to get John Cena out there to do a match already. And Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso are going to move themselves over. They're going to go over to SmackDown ahead of what's going on. So we're going to get what? Is the Bloodline going to be confronting here like if Jay and Jimmy are on the same show, aren't they going to have to see each other? Aren't you going to have a conversation with them? Or are you going to just leave them completely separate? Like, are you going to do that? Because that's the part I would actually care about. The part of getting back to the bloodline. Like seeing Jimmy and Jay work against each other. I wish Jimmy and Jay actually would have had their own program. We never got that. And honestly, we should have. That's what I wanted. We didn't need Roman Reigns right now being in there. Or Solo Sikoa could have been in there and also showing allegiance to one or the other. While, okay, Jimmy and Solo are representing Bloodline and Paul Heyman stands next to them. And you can just see Jay going after Jimmy. But instead, in the storyline, Jay left. But now he's going to come back? He left. Left to go to Raw. And now Cody's going to bring him back over to SmackDown. That doesn't, I mean, I got it. You're going to do it anyway. And Judgment Day, to see them come in over to SmackDown, that's nothing new. They're going on every show. But you're also oversaturating Judgment Day. You're seeing a lot of it. You're putting Judgment Day so much out there, and it's too much. It's overkill. And I think some of the crowd's going to probably feel a little bit like that. They're not pulling the numbers that Bloodline did when they came to Raw. It's not happening right now. But again, with Monday Night Football in place, no one's going to get that. But at least if you put Roman Reigns over on Raw with the Bloodline, you probably would pop a number. Because Roman Reigns still has that kind of star power to do that. The wrestling fans would still definitely go because he has to be seen. You have to see him when he's on the shows. Now that's what happens. But he's going to pop bigger ratings than what Roman Reigns does, or what John Cena will. And it's nothing against John Cena. It's just that Roman Reigns has had all this clout and all this star power and all this dominance. Like, we want to see him. Maybe we'll see him in a match. Or maybe we're going to see Roman Reigns actually defend his belt. But the Universal title, nope, by the wayside. Seth is the work rate, along with Gunther, and they're doing that. Great. But like I said, some of this star power, they have to go move over to SmackDown, which is like, SmackDown's doing fine by itself. And then you put a go-home show for Fastlane. Like, yeah, okay, we're getting something out of this and doing some more. But, 1.5 million viewers Monday night for what they did. Their go-home show. And that's compared to what they did when they had two NFL games going up against each other 2 weeks ago. Which is still less than what they were getting when Monday Night Football first started 3 weeks ago. It's a lot to go into and a lot of trying to overcome. Now, meanwhile, NXT might have had all their matches going on. They had matches that were with developmental talent, specifically. Trick Williams up against Dom, which they set that match up for the end of the night. Gigi Dolan against Blair Davenport. NXT Women's Breakout Tournament. Yeah, you got all that going on. Butch and Tyler Bate taking on Gallus. So that was set up for the main part. But we know Becky Lynch, Tiffany Stratton, they start off, there was the first part we started seeing off about their focus on their match, right? And then you see all the other people that want to go after Becky Lynch to take the belt off of her. So you get out there, let's go get Leah Valkyria. Let's get Roxanne Perez. Let's get Indy Hartwell out there. I thought she was on the main roster. I guess she got moved back down. I don't know. And then Becky Lynch talks about a triple threat match. Winner faces her night one of Halloween Havoc. Then you get Ilya Dragunov and Carmelo Hayes. Well, Carmelo Hayes not out there as Trick Williams. And then Trick has to be confronted by Dominic Mysterio to set up their match later. And then Braun Breaker, Carmelo Hayes, they deal with that. But it's like, everything has to do with like the higher end of like, bringing in Judgment Day and bringing in Becky Lynch. The catalysts as to why people are watching this show in the first place. More than anything else. Let's get into a couple other things when it comes to WWE where they're at now. Okay, we talked about NXT already. And I want to take it apart where they're going to try to say they're going to do things with Jade Cargill. The plans for her coming up. PW Insider's reporting that she's going to be on the Raw brand and that she'll be going straight to the main roster. I don't like that decision. Like, Raw is the most struggling brand. I mean, Raw could really use established stars right now to help build that up. Like, Raw can't be the show where you're trying to bring up and coming. That's where NXT is. And even when it's like up and coming because of the fact that Jade Cargill only has the couple of years she had in AEW, nothing else. Everything else is what she's done in her career, you know, in terms of whatever athleticism or what she's done in the fitness world or the, you know, all of that. Modeling world, I don't know. I never really paid attention to what she's done prior to. Only just saw what she did on TV. And then the word is that, you know, the signing of her was pushed huge on TV and on social media. And they're going to have her on TV most likely by the end of the month and possibly sooner. They're just going to put her on the Raw brand just like that. Now, what's interesting as well, which is not surprising to me, is that after WWE's, or the AEW Wrestle Dream media scrum, Tony Khan actually did answer questions about Jade Cargill, saying that he wanted to keep her in AEW and offered her more money to stay, but she turned down the offer to sign with WWE, which all together, for her to go and make this move to WWE now, yes, I understand that. I really do. It's not even a question of why. It's a logical decision. Very logical for her. You know, part of the reason is because with Jade Cargill, you know, she's already had her time now, 3 years in the company. And she had that long reign as champion. She's gotten, like right now where she is at the moment, she can go ahead and say, okay, we're at the point where she doesn't have to worry too much about what she's proven herself already. She absolutely has. Now we can see where she goes in terms of if they're going to take someone that's a star already in the making with Jade Cargill and move her over into WWE, then yeah, go for it. I get it. She's 31 years old, prime of her career. This is the kind of free agent that WWE or Vince McMahon for in general would go ahead and acquire. Her contract goes up. If there's a chance to get her, she wanted to make the jump because she wanted to be able to prove herself in the biggest brand there is. I got it. She was, professional fast pitch before it. She has a bachelor's degree, a master's degree. And she's a business owner. There's a whole lot more to her than you can even imagine. I can imagine too. So she talked to People Magazine about the change to her career, as a matter of fact. And the chance to be seen in a different limelight. So People Magazine talked to her. She made a dominant first impression for All Elite Wrestling. AEW TBS champion for roughly 17 months, 508 days. An unprecedented 61-match undefeated streak to start her career. She says there's no hard feelings. Former pro basketball player turned wrestler says of her time in AEW felt like it was a blessing. I would have never gotten a better start anywhere else. Right. She feels this is a place for her to start. In 2019, she was working and had her master's degree as a child psychologist working with foster children. But then there was the chance meeting of Mark Henry, you know, a former Olympian himself, and talking to her about learning how to wrestle. Her life partner is retired Cincinnati Reds second baseman Brandon Phillips. Didn't want her to wrestle at first, but came around to it after seeing her perform. Now, in the story, they talk about the fact that it's not uncommon for a wrestler to work upwards of a decade in the independent scene before earning a tryout with a major promotion like WWE. But despite being relatively new to wrestling, she's learned from the likes of Mark Henry, Daniel Bryan, Dustin Rhodes, Billy Gunn, and others. And her TV debut came alongside Hall of Famer Shaquille O'Neal. We all talked about that in 2021. And the Vero Beach, Florida native is already training at the Performance Center in Orlando. Triple H celebrating her signing, saying that the former AEW star is, quote, a dominant athlete who's here to change the game. And she says, quote, I feel like I'm walking into a new light. AEW prepared me. It prepared me to have thick and tough skin. If I would have been part of such a machine at the WWE at the younger age, I probably would have been in my head so much, but because I've worn several hats in this life. I've already been thrown in the fire. It's just prepared me for these moments. She's driven to become the ultimate role model for her daughter, 6-year-old daughter, watches every match from home, and excitedly at ringside along with Phillips. Quote, I have a mission. I want our little girl to say her dad does this, but I also want to say, yeah, but mom does this. Her mom's a pro wrestler. But as we've seen so far, she definitely wants to put herself out there and make sure she's at her best. From what I've seen of interviews of her, that she definitely wanted to have a chance to have more ring time. So being in the Performance Center, have that ring time, have the chance to go ahead and be polished. I said it before when we did this a couple weeks ago when we talked about her coming in. Get the polish on her. Get that WWE machine to do what they do really do well. When AJ Styles made his way in, they polished him. And now he's at this other level. When they brought in Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, put a polish on him. Seth Rollins, put a polish on him. It's that finishing school. You get them to the spot where they're like at such a level, you can't deny that they're going to do really well. More so than they would have with those that he've brought in for the independent circuit and brought them into the way, because the independent circuit and the style of wrestling that they're all used to is much different. Because even with Edge or Adam Copeland, he was in the independent circuit before with Christian at the time. And now he comes over here to work in AEW. What a fresh difference. And by the way, all the references he had to Tony Schiavone being happy to go and be working with him, you know, coming out of the ring, and also getting to work with Sting. Like, come on. You could tell that Adam Copeland was he also enjoyed WCW. Let's just be honest. He was a wrestling fan at heart, period. But you could tell he liked his NWA, WCW stuff. You could tell that was for sure. You could tell in his promo, by the way. And Adam Copeland actually spoke and talked about what he was doing when it comes to his pay-per-view debut. He spoke on the AEW Dynamite Control Center and said, quote, I feel like a little kid. I feel like I used to when I first wrestled. I don't feel like a 31-year-old veteran right now. So I landed, I had this kind of treatment idea of a video package to kind of play as the introduction before I came out and called Darby. Because I'm like, he's a Seattle guy. He'll be able to find an old muscle car and all these things. We just guerrilla shot this thing. Yeah, it was one of those Darby Allin type videos. It was really good, by the way. I'm holding as we're hanging on the back of the SUV with the back open filming this car. And it's just like, this is amazing. I'm in it. And I'm doing it, helping see this vision that was in my head come to life just instead of just being done. That's super exciting. As a creative person, to have the freedom to try and come up with things like that, and then to have the talent around to help out with that process, and not even a bad eye. Super cool. Super fun. And then from there, got here tonight, and it's just been good to see some familiar faces and a couple of faces I have met before already. But there's going to be plenty more of those after the fact. And as a performer, you want to challenge yourself. At least I do. I've always been about the challenge and trying to find the thing that keeps the passion and keeps the flame inside you lit. I look at this roster, I'm just like, there are so many first ever matches I've ever faced. And he mentioned them all during his promo. Samoa Joe, Jon Moxley, Kenny Omega. That's really damn exciting. That's the kind of thing that still gets your blood pumping and gives you goosebumps. So that's just super fun. And I think most importantly, I felt like by being in AEW, I could help the industry as a whole more. That's important. I just mentioned to somebody, I felt free out there. This is nuts. What an unforgettable moment. I've always said when I come out, I try to throw as much energy as I can at the audience, hoping that they throw it back. Then we're in this ring together, and then it's what it felt like tonight. Like Seattle was throwing it back at me. That's the kind of night you never forget. Awesome. By the way, that was for AEW's YouTube channel, and WrestlingNews.co transcribed it so I could read it. Thank you for that. Which, if you notice, I like to read a lot from WrestlingNews.co because they're always so on top of this. Really good stuff. And yeah, there we go. So what else comes of what's happening here? Are we all really happy that WWE has to continue to keep doing what they're doing now? Trying to just kind of like let's just shake the apple cart. We don't have any long-term storylines that are really outstanding and really holding up. Like when it comes to Bloodline and either with Cody or with Jay and doing that kind of setup, it just feels rushed. It just feels like it's kind of just hashed together. The Seth Rollins, Shinsuke Nakamura stuff. Like, remember, a couple months ago when we talked about Seth and Finn and setting up that storyline for their match. Becky Lynch, Trish Stratus setting up for their match. We had such build-up. And then Bloodline on top of what they were doing for their matches. Like, damn. What happened here? The build with Finn Balor, Damian Priest, and the whole friction with them, with the briefcase and the title match. Like, all these great storylines were so intricate and so in-depth. What happened here? They just took the foot off the gas. Why? Why did they do that? I don't understand. Well, that's what they decided to do. I don't like it, but, it's whatever. The Dynamite was wonderful tonight. We already talked about more or less about what AEW did with Adam Copeland coming out there, confronting Christian Cage. And Christian Cage, after the whole passionate plea of, like, let's get back together and work as a tag team, go fuck yourself. Like, it's like, wow. Ray Phoenix, Nick Jackson, unstoppable match on their 4th anniversary show tonight. Sammy Guevara, Konosuke, no Sammy Guevara. It was Konosuke Takeshita and Kyle Fletcher from Aussie Open. So whatever it was, they didn't have the Sammy out there. And then you see Wardlow come back. That was cool. And so Kyle Fletcher came out on the recommendation of Will Ospreay. That's what Don Kyle said, by the way. Then they had the Adam Cole Roderick Strong segment, which obviously the audio did not sound good. Something happened with their out there where you could hear it in the PA system, and that's what they had to go and use. They couldn't get it on the main feed, whatever the reason was. Sucks it happened the whole way through, but damn. Toni Storm's meltdown. Now she moves along and goes even more into this actress character. Now she kind of gives me like the vibes of Laurel Van Ness. Like, remember when Laurel Van Ness was like the bride and all, and then she lost Braxton Sutter, right? And all of a sudden the marriage went downhill, and Laurel Van Ness becomes like this weird, like she just became like the freak because she just like was the wicked, wedding dress, like just psychopath. Now we get timeless Toni Storm. I love this character. Toni Storm, she would have never gotten the chance to do this in WWE, right? Like the NXT character. Listen, by the way, I'm going to just say this too. So when NXT goes and does all the thing with like, oh, look, Toni Storm, we got her from NXT up to the main roster. Now she's on the main roster finally, and she's not being used right. Yeah. Nothing like a little gimmick change to make things different, huh? See, look, the Outcasts. Didn't necessarily work. But you know what broke out of that? Saraya became the women's champion. Great. I love that. Like, I like that part. And now Ruby Soho comes out there and accompanies her. And then you get Toni Storm now breaking away in this fantastically off-the-wall character. Okay. I just love it. She's fucking mommy dearest. She's like Faye Dunaway out here. Like, tits up and watch for the shit. Watch for the shoe. I love this shit. Toni Storm, man. I mean, I already loved her as a wrestler. I thought she was a great wrestler, right? But this character right here, I love it. This is that like off the wall, like just let's get off the deep end and let's give her this. And she's fantastic in it. Like she is making it her own. Like there's just much more grandiose shit we're gonna see with her. The screen seductress here, like just this is gonna be incredible. The screen, whatever. Yeah, silver screen, like this the classic actress here. Almost like a mid-Atlantic accent, I can almost feel like. I love the character. It's so good. MJF, doing a really good job here. They do the setup with Jay White, set up for Full Gear. Love it. They got it all set. Now we got a match all ready to go. Guns and Juice Robinson, and MJF basically shits on all of them. I love all that. And then you go along and we get the Jericho and Omega. They get their win back off of the Don Callis family. But meanwhile, in the pay-per-view, Don Callis family got the win. But then we get Omega getting duct tape, and the heat goes back to Don Callis family with Omega getting hit over the head with a chair by Don Callis. You set all that up. So again, this storyline just keeps the heat up. This is all good storylines. So Adam Cole, Roderick Strong, you get that dynamic right now. It's a very fresh storyline. Of course, with two guys that are very familiar with each other, but we're doing something different. The whole, handicap kind of stuff, that's pretty funny. MJF now handling Bullet Club Gold, that's pretty fucking good. I love that. Don Callis family against Omega and Jericho, I love that. Tony Storm, I love that. That's all wonderful. And Adam Copeland, Christian Cage, shit. This is incredible. I love it. I love it. So AEW is giving me some good stuff. And then on top of that, we can talk about what FTR is going to have to deal with the Young Bucks, another match with them. And going along with Andrade Idolo, House of Black, and what they're doing with Julia Hart. All that shit's wonderful. They just keep building out the good stuff. And so we look at what's going on for next week for both shows on Tuesday night. And what they're going to plan to go and do now that they have this all set up. Okay, so what do we got? As we know, NXT next week. So we're not even going to worry about Fastlane. We're just going to go into building up Tuesday night. A random Tuesday night that doesn't really matter. Okay, one night you're going to see WWE actually say, we beat it. We beat Dynamite. Look at that. Ooh. For what? Because you had to bring in John Cena, Paul Heyman, Cody Rhodes, and Asuka to build star power, to build across for three different segments for next week's show. That's what you chose to do to build things up. Okay? So you're going to make it where it's the NXT now. Sometimes I'll definitely tell you I skip it a lot. It's just what it is. I have to watch now next week because it's like a main roster show. It's like a Raw or SmackDown. You have to watch it. So I will. Yes, important for Braun Breaker, Carmelo Hayes to face each other again. I'd like to see if Roxanne Perez beats Asuka. I don't think they're going to do that, but it would be nice. And then how about the setup next week for Dynamite? The Dynamite we're going to get Tuesday, we already got 6 matches booked. And this has already been booked kind of ahead. And so you have Rey Fenix defending the international title against Jon Moxley. That's next week. You have Jay White and Hangman Adam Page next week. You have Saraya defending the women's world title against Hikaru Shida next week. Then Powerhouse Hobbs and Chris Jericho, they just announced it. Adam Copeland, Luchasaurus, just announced it. And Swerve Strickland, Bryan Danielson, just announced it. Number 1 contenders match for the TNT title. What? 6 matches set up for Dynamite. By the way, for what it's worth, Dynamite's a damn stacked show. And if it was on Wednesday night, I would have no doubt it reaches 1 million viewers. I think they probably reached 1 million viewers tonight, or got damn close. Because Adam Copeland's on that show now. So I could see there's a bump in ratings right now already for Wednesday nights. And then they're going to have this little bit of a ditch, a little bit of a bump in the road because they don't have Tuesday night. They haven't done anything Tuesday night. It's not their night. And they're going to go because NXT, that's also going to get stacked up with all this star power. Because that's what WWE wants to do. WWE wants to go and do this from a point of weakness. That's all there is to it. One other thing I can continue to keep following up on, MLW and WWE are going to go back in front of each other for another lawsuit. WWE and MLW will be going back in front of a judge regarding the amended lawsuit from MLW, the United States District Court, Northern Division of California, San Jose. So the amended lawsuit from March 2023 has been amended now by MLW, listing additional changes made from their antitrust lawsuit, where the allegations that WWE violated the Sherman Antitrust Act. That WWE attempted to undermine the competition regarding MLW's pursuit of media distribution deals, while WWE tried to hire contracted talent away from the company. So we're going to continue with that story right now. And that's where things are going forward. Now, into Fastlane going on this weekend. I will be doing a post-show. One of the things I got to do is I have to go and do this while I'm watching football. FAU takes on Tulsa this weekend, so I'm going to be watching from the stands to watch the game. I'll be able to do my best on watching it. So if I got to go and do preview predictions right now, again, I will do a post show that night. LWO, Rey Mysterio, Santos Escobar, and Cruz del Toro or Joaquin Wilde accompanied by Zelina Vega, will take on Bobby Lashley and Street Profits. I will take Bobby Lashley and Street Profits for the win. I will take, for the tag team titles, I will take Judgment Day over Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso. Judgment Day will make some kind of plunder to make that not possible. Or Jey and Cody will have some odds with each other that will also make things go bad. I believe that has to come up at some point. Io Sky versus Asuka versus Charlotte Flair, women's title. And, man, you're not going to like it, but I'm going to take Charlotte Flair for the win. She becomes, 17-time champion, something like that? I forget what the number is. I've lost track. Seth Rollins, Shinsuke Nakamura, World Heavyweight title, last man standing match. I will take Seth Rollins. And the Bloodline, I will take John Cena and LA Knight, and I'll take Jimmy Uso to take the pin. There you go. That's coming up this weekend. We'll do a post show for that. And then along other things we have going on, we have so much more when it comes to where things go now for wrestling, because we got Bound for Glory next week, and that's setting up to be pretty big. A lot of stuff going on. That's on the 21st. Quickly talk about the matches we already got for that so far. Will Ospreay will come over to Impact Wrestling to take on Speedball Mike Bailey. Kenta from New Japan Pro Wrestling will take on Chris Sabin for the X Division title. Whoa. Mickie James comes back from injury to take on Trinity for the Knockouts World title. And Alex Shelley versus Josh Alexander for the Impact World title. Damn. Wow. Does Trinity drop the belt so Mickie James continues her reign and continues that storyline where she has to be retired? Somebody has to retire her to lose. Like, will they go back to that? And I can definitely see Josh Alexander getting the belt back off of Alex Shelley after a meaningful run with Alex Shelley as champion. Just saying. That's a Cicero Stadium in Chicago, by the way. That'll be cool. And by the way, also got MLW Slaughterhouse coming up as well. That's also coming up. And I got to talk about that. That's in 2 weeks. It's October 14th. And so far, the match is already being put there. At the moment, they've already announced Dummy XO will take on a mystery opponent for the MLW World Women's Featherweight Championship. Second Gear Crew, Mance Warner, Matthew Justice against the Callings, Cannonball and Talon in a Chamber of Horrors match. Ricky Shane Page against One Call Manders in a Spin the Wheel, Make the Deal match to be determined for the MLW National Openweight Championship. Akira against Rocky Romero, and Rocky Romero being accompanied by Selena De La Renta. Winner take all, MLW World Middleweight Championship and the NWA World Historic Welterweight Championship. Minoru Suzuki against Jacob Fatu. Damn, that sounds good. And Alex Kane against Davey Boy Smith for the MLW World Heavyweight title. Shit. And I've been a little bit behind on MLW coverage. I got to go ahead and catch some shows. I've been a couple weeks off. But I mean, been around after Fury Road to see Selena De La Renta return to MLW, which has been wonderful to go and see. But anyway, that's where we are. That's the show for tonight. And as always, I thank you so much for listening in for episode 800. We've made it again, and we continue to keep going on and doing it on a regular basis. What a great thing to see. So thank you all for tuning in, as you always do. KingofPodcasts.com. And remember, King of Podcasts on YouTube. Please subscribe, like, and share if you've been watching the video. And look for me on social media at King of Podcasts. You'll see clips of the show on all those different platforms. TikTok, Instagram, X, Facebook, all of it. Maybe even LinkedIn. So until Fastlane, remember, come back for another Wrestling's World podcast, because wrestling needs us.